You know that feeling, right? The exam is just a few days away, you've been putting in the hours, but there's still this knot of anxiety tightening in your stomach. You start to wonder, is all this effort actually going to pay off? Well, today, we're going to take apart that anxiety. We're going to break down the actual science of how we learn and build a brand new, powerful study plan from the ground up. Okay, let's just sit with this for a second because I have been here and it is just the worst feeling. You're staring at the question, you know you saw the answer in your notes, but nothing. It's like your brain just decided to hit the eject button on all that info you desperately need. It's so frustrating, and that's the exact problem we're here to solve for good. So what's the deal? Why does this happen over and over again? Well, here's the secret. It has almost nothing to do with how long you study. It's all about how you study. And the answer might surprise you because the most common study methods, the ones we've all been taught, are actually making us fight against the way our brains are wired to learn. And this is the absolute key. Your brain isn't some hard drive you can just dump information onto. When you just passively reread your notes or highlight half the book, you create this dangerous illusion of knowing. It feels really productive in the moment, doesn't it? But the information, it never truly sticks. To really get why this happens, we have to look at a fundamental and honestly kind of surprising feature of our memory. Let's dive into the science of why your brain is actually designed to forget things. No, seriously, forgetting isn't a flaw in the system, it's a feature. It's a survival mechanism. Way back in the 1880s, this psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered what we now call the forgetting curve. He showed just how crazy fast we lose new information if we don't actively try to remember it. Your brain's just trying to be efficient, you know? It's clearing out what it thinks is just useless clutter. So how do we tell our brain not to hit that big delete button? We use something called spaced repetition. This is the antidote. By reviewing material at these strategic, increasing intervals, like after one day, then maybe 3 days, then a week, you're basically hacking the forgetting curve. You're sending a powerful signal to your brain that says, hey, pay attention. This stuff is important. Store it in long-term memory. Okay, knowing this is awesome, but how do we actually build a whole study strategy around it? Well, it all starts with this really powerful principle for getting maximum results with the least amount of wasted time and energy. Have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule? It's also called the Pareto principle. When you apply this to studying, it is an absolute game changer. It basically means you stop trying to master every single tiny detail. Instead, you identify and focus like a laser on that core 20% of the material that will almost certainly get you 80% of your grade on the exam. And this chart just makes it so clear. Look at that huge 80% slice for results. It comes from that tiny little 20% sliver of effort. So your goal is no longer to give every topic equal time. No way. It's to find that critical 20%, the core ideas, the key formulas, the main arguments, and invest your energy there for the biggest possible payoff. Okay, theory's great, but we need a plan we can actually use. So the most effective way to combine that 80-20 rule with spaced repetition is to use a structured multi-day schedule. We are officially trading in that last-minute panicked cramming for some smart, strategic planning. Now, let's break down how this actually works. This isn't just about studying for 5 days in a row. It's about a specific rhythm. Step 1, breaking it all into chunks. That's how you find your 20%. It forces you to decide what's most important. Then, every single day, you prepare a new chunk while also reviewing everything you've studied before. You see? This constant loop of review, that's spaced repetition in action. It builds those strong memory foundations day by day. So we've got our 5-day strategy. But what do you actually do during those study sessions? This is where we get into the really powerful hands-on tactics that make the learning actually stick. The engine behind every single one of these effective techniques is something called active recall. Think of it like a workout for your brain. It's the act of pulling information out of your head, not just passively trying to shove it in. And yeah, it feels harder than just rereading your notes. That's the whole point. That struggle is what strengthens the connections in your brain and builds those rock-solid, lasting memories. So what's the real difference between studying smart and just studying hard? Just look at this slide. The stuff on the left, passive review, it feels comfortable, right? It feels familiar, but it's incredibly inefficient. The stuff on the right, active recall, yeah, that feels difficult. It feels like a real workout, but it is scientifically proven to be what actually locks that knowledge into your brain. Let's look at a fantastic example of this in action, the blurting method. This is pure, raw, active recall. By forcing yourself to write everything down from memory, you immediately see what you truly know versus what you just kind of vaguely recognize. And using a different colored pen to fill in the gaps, that's key. It creates this powerful visual map of where you're weak, telling you exactly where you need to focus next. This quote just perfectly captures the genius of our next technique. See, true mastery isn't about using fancy, complicated words. It's about being able to boil a complex idea down to its simple, elegant core. This technique is named after the brilliant physicist Richard Feynman, and it is the ultimate test of whether you actually get something. Think of it as a challenge. Can you explain this topic so simply that a kid could understand it? If you start stumbling, or if you have to use a bunch of jargon, boom, that's where your knowledge is weak. It's an incredible tool for forcing that active recall and finding your exact weaknesses with, like, surgical precision. Do your notes ever feel like just a chaotic mess? Well, even the way you take notes in the first place can be optimized for active recall. The Cornell system is brilliant. It structures your page with a main notes area, a side column for key questions, and a summary at the bottom. So later on, you can just cover up the main notes and quiz yourself with the questions you wrote. It's instant, built-in self-test. Okay, so we've covered the core strategy, the 80-20 rule, and spaced repetition. And we've filled our toolkit with some powerful tactics like active recall. Now let's put it all together. Let's build a concrete, week-long plan that you can literally start using tonight. This is what it actually looks like in practice. Let's just walk through the logic here. On day 1, you're not just reading, you're actively preparing chunk 1 using Cornell notes to organize it. Then on day 2, before you even look at new stuff, you review chunk 1 using the blurting method to force that recall. On day 3, you're using the Feynman technique to really simplify and understand the toughest concepts from the first 2 days. See the pattern? Each day builds on the last, mixing new material with active, varied review, all leading up to the ultimate form of active recall on day 5, a full practice test. So the main thing to take away from all of this is that you don't need more hours in the day. You just need better, smarter strategies. It's about making a conscious choice to swap out those passive, inefficient habits for active, focused ones. So I'll just ask you this. What one change will you make? Will you swap 30 minutes of rereading for 10 minutes of blurting? Or maybe try explaining one key concept to a friend using the Feynman technique? I challenge you to pick one. Just one of these techniques and try it this week. That one small strategic change could be the key that unlocks your best performance yet. Start studying smarter, not just harder.